We chemically clean to remove oils, shop dust. So light oils, the chemicals are removed, shop dust are removed, fingerprints. Rule of thumb, when you start washing a part, from that point on, wear gloves. And not cotton gloves, latex gloves. Cheap dishwashing gloves, but never cotton gloves. Why not cotton gloves? Lint, fibers. So just like all metal is porous, all metal is abrasive. If you don't believe me, take your wrist, put it on a piece of metal, rub it back and forth 3 or 4 times, pour alcohol on your wrist. It's going to light you up because it's going to scratch the flip out of you, right? So all those little abrasive areas of that part, with cotton gloves, pull small pieces of lint and fiber off the part, and then when you powder coat it, when it bakes, it rolls in a little ball, and it's going to look like little specks of salt or sand underneath the powder. And 95% of the time, it all goes back to being lint. So, I don't want to handle a part with cotton gloves. I've had contracts before when I owned powder coating shops, where we literally went back, where we were coating for a manufacturer, where we'd gone back to the manufacturer and said, hey, show us your process for how you build this part. And when your guys are doing this to it, can you get them to wear rubber gloves instead of cotton gloves? Because with all this handling, they're getting all this lint on it. By the time we get it over, even washing it isn't, the washing will wet it, but it doesn't totally pull it off. And then it's creating a quality problem for you later, where we've gone back and actually got the manufacturer to change the gloves they're wearing on their end to help their finish later. So we want to always wear gloves. And we will always chemically clean. If you do not chemically clean, you will not get corrosion protection. Cannot understate that enough. People come to you and say, what is so great about powder coating? What's so great about it? And you want to talk about it, and people will say, oh my God, it's so tough, it lasts so long, it has all this flexibility, there's all these different things you can do with it. Most of those things that it will do that make it so great, you lose if you do not have good corrosion protection. So again, cannot overstate that enough. So how do we properly clean and repair a part? So we're going to look at the part. If necessary, we are going to physically remove any heavy dirt, grease, grime, whatever that's on it where it may have been on it forever. Then we're going to look at it. If it has an existing coating, if it has mill scale, if it has rust, weld splatter, all those things, I'm going to blast it, sandpaper, Scotch-Brite pad, chemical stripper, something to get all that stuff off of it. Then, prior to chemically cleaning, if it's a cast part, if it's a heavy casting, has anybody ever heard the term outgassing a part? Where they'll say, yeah, I had to outgas that part because it was really old and it was really heavy casting or whatever. The mistake people will make with that is they will chemically clean the part, and then they put it in the oven to dry it, and they go, well, I'm going to leave it a little extra time so I outgas it. Like, okay, so you're outgassing it because it brings imperfections out of it. So you cleaned it, and then you put it in there, and then you pull all the imperfections to the surface of it, and you coat it over the top of the imperfections. They have the steps backwards. If it's a heavy casting and you think there's imperfections in it, you'll want to put it in an oven and heat it to pull everything up to the surface so that when I wash it, I'll get everything off of it. And typically for about 10 minutes. Just shove it in for about 10 minutes. That will open up those pores and pull everything out. And you only have to do this on a really heavy casting part. Then I would want to degrease the part, rinse it, and then I am going to chemically wash the part. Now, you'll hear the term phosphate, and we throw the term phosphate around a lot. And because people always say, well, then we phosphate, yeah, we'll degrease the part, then we phosphate it. There are multiple different chemical combinations or whatever that you can use for that corrosion protection thing. And where it becomes quite confusing is because there's so much stuff that is out there. You can find a good chemical rep that will help you with that. You can contact us, we'll help you with it. But generally speaking, if you're doing fence and motorcycle frames and whatever, unless you have a part you're doing for a government contractor that has some major salt spray requirement or some big finish requirement that's just way out of the books. A standard, what you're doing, the general work you're doing for most people in the public. The chemical that you're going to want to use, when you call to find one, ask the chemical company for a multi-metal cleaner coater. Don't say a phosphate, because there's no telling what you may get. If you'll ask for a multi-metal cleaner coater, they will get you what you need. Now, when you say multi-metal cleaner coater, the chemical guy you talk to may or may not know what you're talking about, but he'll call the lab, and the lab will totally understand what you mean. And here's what they're going to give you. When you say multi-metal cleaner coater, what that's going to let them know is, first, let's talk about cleaner coater. What cleaner coater tells them, will you get the panels out here? The panels, they even did unloading and that stuff out of there. Matter of fact, just take everything out of there and set it here. What cleaner coater tells them is this: I want something that's going to put the corrosion protection on it. That's what the coater part tells them. The cleaner part tells them, you know what, how about put some degreasers and some stuff in here too, so it'll help if there was still a little bit of oil on it. They'll put some surfactants or some soaps in it that will help degrease it as well. Here's the important part: multi-metal. What multi-metal will tell them is you're going to do ferrous and non-ferrous metals. I'm going to do steel and aluminum. I'm going to do different metals, so I want to make sure that I've got something that will clean and etch and put the conversion coating, you know, the corrosion resistance on everything that I do. If you have a chemical company that shows up at your facility, and your chemical guy comes in and he gives you a little jug, and he says, here's what I want you to do. Every time you're going to do aluminum, I want you to pour some of this into your bath. Run that chemical person out of your building as humanly fast as possible. Here's why. What's in the little jug is fluoride, and it's straight fluoride. On multi-metal, in order for the chemical to etch the aluminum, it has to have some fluoride in it. But they do that in its small amounts, and they do that when they make the chemical. You don't want to be doing that in your facility with straight fluoride sitting in a jug in your facility. If you have straight fluoride in there, and OSHA or the EPA walks in, you're going to have a conversation that's going to end in some zeros. If it's not in a cabinet, it's in a cabinet or whatever, you can get in real trouble real quick, because you can take that chemical and pour it down the drain, and suddenly babies are born naked all over town or something. I don't know what happened. Something bad really happened. So anyway, I don't want to have straight fluoride in a container. That you're not there to be a chemist. They make it, you know, that they do it on their own. So make sure that is taken care of. When we, let's look 1 second and see if I move this. Here we go, because I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to do this slightly different. When you go home and you look at whatever your cleaning is going to be. And it doesn't matter to me if you spent $5 on it or $5 million on it. All cleaning that is correct has the same 4 things in common. So all you got to do is look at, here's what we're going to do. Does it have these 4 things? Okay? All of them have time, temperature, concentration, and impingement. So what are they? Time is on here somewhere. 90 seconds. When I put the chemical on the part, I have to leave it on for at least 90 seconds to give the chemical time to react with the metal. So it will give me the good corrosion protection on it. If we design $1 million washers, it's all designed based on time. It's how many feet per minute are you running, and so that lets us know how large the wash stages need to be. So I want to make sure that I leave the chemical on for at least 90 seconds before I rinse it off. Temperature, second one was temperature. Chemical solution, it's like washing dishes with cold water. If I put some heat to it, it breaks the viscosity of the oils down. It will help clean the part better. You're going to want it at probably about 120 degrees-ish. Now, it doesn't have to be exact, it's kind of in that range. But I do want you to keep in mind one thing. Some heat is good, too much heat is bad. Phosphates will start to break down at about 150 degrees. So I don't want to go above 150. The reason I say probably stay about 120, 110, in that 130, whatever, in that range with the temperature of the chemical itself. Now, somebody's going to have an epiphany later. If you don't have it later today, you'll have it tomorrow. That somebody's going to go, wait. He said that chemicals break down at 150 degrees. They sell a steam unit to put the chemical on with, and I know for a fact steam's hotter than 150 degrees. You are absolutely correct. Steam is hotter than 150 degrees. The steam unit you will use tomorrow is specifically designed for the chemicals. It does not run the chemical through the boiler and turn the chemical into steam. It mists the chemical in with the steam at the end of the wand. That's the reason you can't go just get a regular steam wand somewhere that runs everything through it. It has to have the ability to inject later. If you try to run it through it, it would destroy the machine and would destroy the chemical. So that's how that thing works. Concentration doesn't mean you got to think really hard while you're doing it. Concentration means this: when you get the chemical, it will tell you you're going to mix the chemical about 3% chemical to 97% water. It may be 5% chemical to 95% water. It's going to kind of be in that range. Whatever it is, you want to stay fairly close to that range, right? You don't want to be 5% chemical today and 1% chemical tomorrow. No, you don't have to get beakers and get exact and all this, that, and other. But 5% is basically a Dixie cup, a red Solo cup, to 5 gallons of water. It's pretty darn close to 5%. So when you get your chemical, don't spray straight out of the chemical bucket. The chemical is going to be mixed with water, and that's what you spray out of. Okay? So keep that in mind. And impingement was the last one. Impingement is all metals porous. I'm not cleaning just what's on the surface. I want to clean what's below the surface. I can fill this room with water, 95% water and 5% chemical. I can heat it to 120 degrees. I could dip a car frame in it. Would it clean it? Yeah. Would it clean it better if I had the water, if I had some movement to the water, some impingement, some pressure, some things that were trying to get below the surface? Absolutely. So I want time, I want temperature, I want concentration, and I want impingement in no matter what it is that I do and how I clean it. Rinse. Rinse well. Rinse very well. Rinse well and then rinse again. I will watch people in the classes take 5 minutes to wash the part, and they'll try to rinse it in 15 seconds. And like, hang on there, overachiever, we're about to really mess something up. Slow down. Has anybody ever tried to blast off powder? Sucks, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's a pain in the rear end to get it off. And in most of the cases where you had to fix a job, it was something that in 30 seconds could have been corrected on the front end if we just slow down a little on the front end to fix it. They could have taken 30 extra seconds to rinse something that didn't cost them 3 hours later to blast it. Rinse it well. Remember this. So why do we rinse? We rinse because if we put a chemical on the part and it's etching the part, one, if we don't rinse it, what's it going to do? It's going to keep etching the part. There's still a chemical reaction that's still taking place. So we've got to pacify that surface. Another thing to remember is this. Powder curing is a chemical reaction. Heat is the catalyst that makes that reaction take place. All powder coating is a chemical reaction. It's a bunch of chemicals mixed together. Heat makes it cure and do what it's supposed to do. If you do not rinse the part well, you've added a chemical to the chemical reaction. I've added another chemical to the thing. I will get people that will call me and say, man, I got this powder and it's supposed to be gloss black. And I coated this part and the entire part is gloss black, except I've got one spot the size of a softball in the middle of it that's flat line. Think something's wrong with my oven. Did it cure? Yeah. Nothing wrong with your oven. The oven did what it was supposed to do. They go, must have been some bad powder. I just got some bad powder from that powder company. Go there, let's wait a minute. Let's think about that for a second. So you got a 50-pound box of powder, and let's say it had some bad powder in it. What were the odds that during all this shipping and all this moving of all this powder, that all that bad powder suddenly found itself and came out of your gun at one time and just so happened to land in one spot? Probably didn't happen. What probably happened was you didn't rinse that spot real well. So you've added a chemical to the chemical reaction, so you affected what the look was going to look like in that one spot. Rinse it very, very, very well. You can rinse typically, again, unless you've got some major government contract with some massive specs you've got to go, you can rinse typically with just standard tap water. You can use deionized water. You can use reverse osmosis water. You can use those things if that's what you choose to do. Most people use just standard water. There is one thing I would ask you to avoid. I have seen this lately where I've seen people post this online and it doesn't really totally make sense to me, so I want to address it here. Water softeners. They go, well, our water's a little rough, so we're going to use a water softener. So I have a question for you. What does a water softener use to soften water? Salt. What's the most corrosive thing on the planet? Salt. So we're going to put salt on something, hoping it doesn't, to prevent it from corroding, but we're going to put the most corrosive thing we can put on it and then coat over the top of it. So just be very careful with that, because you'll still see that out there online, and there are ways you can do some things to clean up your rinse water, but just be very careful about them if that's something you have to do.